On November 8, 2013, the Cape Cod Center for the Arts introduces the new Playhouse producer and chief executive of the Cape Cod Center for the Arts, Mark Cuddy. The president of the Cape Cod Center for the Arts Board of Trustees, Richard Hawes, opens the proceedings.
Today, we're pleased to announce and introduce to you Mark Cuddy, who has been appointed to the newly created position of the Playhouse producer and Chief Executive of the Cape Cod Center for the Arts. We are excited to have Mark on board because he will preserve the history while employing his artistic leadership, experience, and skill to guide us into the future of the Cape Playhouse. And our longer-term goal to support the development of the Cape Cod Center for the Arts as it evolves into a year-round destination that offers a variety of artistic experience. So now, I'd like to bring up on stage Mark Cuddy.
I think my work is done, really, after that intro. I want to thank Rick Hawes, the other members of the Executive Committee of the Board of Trustees, and the rest of the board for their courage. You know, it's hard to change, and it's hard to take a leap with someone that you're just getting to know. And I am humbled to be here in front of you under this dome on Cape Cod in the center of culture. And I thought I would start by just telling you how I got here and why this is home. You know, many of you know I grew up in Boston. I'm from Dorchester in Jamaica Plain. In my teenage years, they started coming to Cape Cod. My father made a little more money so he could rent a house for a couple of weeks every summer. I was at Boston Latin School and got introduced to the theater when I was 14. It changed my life. It took about 10 minutes, my first acting class, to realize that people like Nick Dorr and others that I met there at the Boston Children's Theater were actually my new family. I started working in the theater, and I started doing everything I possibly could to craft a career. When I was 16, I lied about my age and apprenticed for a whole summer at the Falmouth Playhouse. Remember that? The Falmouth Playhouse right in the center of the golf course? I was 16. Every other apprentice was in college or after college, and we were living in this dorm kind of shack. And how my parents ever let me do that, I have no idea. So I was working with Faye Dunaway, Rip Torn, Geraldine Page, Hume Cronin, Jessica Tandy, Eli Wallach. Incredible. Rip Torn and Geraldine Page were doing 3 Chekhov one-acts as summer stock. Faye Dunaway was doing Candida by George Bernard Shaw as summer stock. Of course, Van Johnson was also doing There's a Girl in My Soup, but it was really fantastic because there were major people working on plays that were important. And that was going on here as well. But I fell in love with the professional theater on Cape Cod. Worked around the country after that, married an amazing woman who unfortunately is not here today. But you know, once we started having children, we came back every summer. That was the big thing for us. So when Christina and I bought our home in East Dennis 2.5 years ago, that was for us coming home. It was the place I wanted to be the rest of my life. As I like to say, well, my ashes just, spread in the backyard somewhere.